The next step in my project is to put down a foundation of burlap for the springing and the stuffing in the back. This back is very complex. There's different layering of stuffing materials, lots of stitching, so I need to take some notes, do some measuring, and try to get this back together the way it used to be. I'll spread this burlap out over the frame of the chair. I'm going to follow the contour of the frame, and I'm also keeping this weave in the burlap in a straight line. Line up these center reference marks here and snug things straight line with the frame here. Snip this, and I can turn that under and stitch it into the wire. Snug this back to the corner and snip it down to the frame. Turn it back against the wire. I'll snug this burlap down and stitch it right along this wire. I'll tell you, the stuffing materials and techniques in this back and arms is pretty complex, so I'm going to have to give it pretty close examination. Some of the stitches carry through from the front to the back, and it's just a matter of layer by layer figuring out how this is put together. I'm going to start by pulling away this rolled edge here. Set some of this aside. This row of stitching carries through to the other side, creates the channel. I'll work my regulator down through this stitching in the rolled area, lining up with the stitching to the back side. Pull this out. Looks like our padding's 1.5 inches deep. Turn this padding back, and I see there's a lumbar roll down here at the base filled with wood wool. Check the thickness on it. Looks like we got 2 inches. Mark this out at 5 inches. I pulled off a section of wood wool, and I'll moisten it up a little bit with some just plain water, atomizer bottle. Work with it a little and fluff it up. I'm working with the wood wool under the palm of my hand, just kind of feather it away and shape it. I'm gauging the depth with my fingers. I found that 3 fingers is about 2 inches. It works out pretty evenly that way. Keeping the excelsior, the wood wool, moistened is critical. Snugging up against the original wood wool, it looks like 8 inches is a good stuffing mark. I'll pull this back and make an 8-inch reference mark along the seam here. I'm going to run a series of stitches through this wood wool, even out the surface and secure it down to the foundation. I'll scribe in a reference line here at 3 inches. I've chalked in a 12-inch square in the back foundation. That's going to leave me with approximately 1.5 inches in between each spring when I stitch them down. I'll start the spring tying by knotting in my vertical ties here. Put it right above this padded roll. I'll put just a simple wrap around the spring to start here. Push it into place. And I'll move up here and we'll tie a knot in this spring here. Alright, sight down through the middle, make sure it's upright. Move up to this one. I'll fold this burlap back and follow the weave. Press it down here along this lumbar roll. Get it squared up. Pin it in place. I'll square up the weave in this burlap, and then gently pull it down over this center row. I'll turn this under. Work it out to the edge here and turn it under. I need to measure out this burlap for the roll over the arm. Pull it out here and get the fold out. It looks like 7. I'm going to cut that at 8 inches and give it a little extra. Looks like the tack line will be around the 5-inch mark. I've measured back 5 inches from the seam line and turned the burlap under. I'm going to square it up along the edge of the frame and staple it in place. It's very important to make sure you stay in line with the weaves in the burlap. That keeps everything on the straight line. Push the wood wool in there, keep that weave straightened up, and work it back there until you got a tight sock. Square this padding up with the front of the arm, pack it in place. I've got some excess burlap to trim away. Start working at tucking that back underneath. All right, there's a wrap on the back foundation.